So let's do a quick review, and then I'm going to try to prepare you for some things you might see in a real live operation, and see if you can analyze, evaluate, and project what perfect cost is and maybe some of the other features. This basically is just the flow pattern of what happens in the control process. The first thing you're going to do is predict or forecast what you need. And so we worked on that the past 3, 4, 5 weeks, trying to predict and forecast. How do we do that?
Look at past data.
Historical data, right. So for example, how much ice do you need?
A lot.
How much ice do you need for a stadium?
You said 20,000.
No, I said a half a pound per person.
Half a pound per person.
So if I've got 20,000 people coming, how much ice do I need?
10 pounds.
10,000 pounds,
10,000
right.
pounds.
Okay. What if I ordered 15,000 pounds?
You would have it.
What happens to ice when it sits out?
It melts.
Can you use it again?
Nope.
No. So I just wasted 5,000 pounds of ice at $3 a bag, right? That's not very smart, is it? So the control process is out of whack. So I need to forecast. Typically, in this environment or channel of business, what percentage of our sales come from sodas?
50%.
50%. What does that tell me? What could it tell me? We got 20,000 people coming. How many people are going to buy a soda?
At least 10,000.
At 10,000. So how many cups do I need?
10,000.
10,000. There we go. You got it. You're starting to figure it out. So how many cups am I going to order? What if I order 20,000 cups? Would that be good or bad?
It would be bad.
It would be bad. Why would it be bad?
It would only be bad if you don't use the extra that you ordered.
That's right. Very good. See, now you're thinking. So paper cups typically won't melt like ice. So we could use them, or we might even be able to return them. All right. Ordering. Ordering is basically analyzing what your predictions are. So if 20% of the people buy hot dogs at the stadium, help me with this. We got 20,000 people coming. How many hot dogs am I going to sell? Or how many people are going to buy a hot dog? 20%.
4,000.
4,000. I need to order 4,000 hot dogs, right? Would I order 4,000 or would I order 4,500?
4,500.
Why would I do that, Kevin?
So you can have some extra in case.
Just in
more
case
people
I
want.
sell. Yeah, that's right. How many buns would I order?
4,500. Well,
Would you?
maybe a little bit extra in case you drop one.
That's right. So you have to think in terms of what ifs.
Yeah.
So you want to plan ahead and say, okay, but in this particular case, if we need 4,000 hot dogs, right? You ordered 4,500 hot dogs. How many buns would you order? You would be safe ordering 4,500. Why?
Because you would have, that's already extra. You don't want to add extra.
If some drop on the ground, so forth and so on. Except for the fact that bread is very, very low on shelf life, right? It's kind of a volatile product because it goes bad in 2 or 3 days. So we would either have to put the buns in a freezer, or maybe we contract with the bakery to come pick up the leftovers and give us a credit. And then they can take it to the wholesale place and sell day-old buns. That make sense? Yeah. This is all a part of the control process. What about popcorn? Malco Theaters, we contract for 1 million pounds of popcorn a year. All right, should I bring all 1 million pounds in today? Yeah. Why not?
You won't have all the room for it.
One, I won't have storage. Excellent. So you have to think in terms of storage, which is next. What else do you have to think of?
It'll all go bad before you use it.
It could. What about mice? You put 1 million pounds of popcorn in a room, you're going to have some rodents.
Yeah.
You're going to have some pests. So limit your exposure or your risk. So you have to learn how to order. Okay, receiving and storing. What kind of controls would you have there?
Checking off on the
The
inventory
degrees.
list.
Pardon me?
The degrees of where you're storing,
Why would that be important?
so that you can make sure that everything's
It's
being.
fresh.
What item would be most important for temperatures? Most overlooked item? Candy. I can't tell you how many times I go into these older facilities and they put it in a room and there's no ventilation.
Yeah.
And how hot does it get in there?
Hot.
And what happens to chocolate when it gets hot?
Melts.
Melts. Yeah. So you want to do that as well. Popcorn, you want to keep up off the ground. You want to keep it in an area where there are no rodents. What about receiving? What's the control process with receiving?
You want to make sure you get everything on your order guide.
Well, if I ordered 10 cases of cups, there better be 10 cases of cups
Yeah.
sitting on the back dock when I count them. I can't tell you how many times managers get busy and they get a truckload of stuff in and they sign the invoice so the guy will get out of their way and they're short 2 cases of hot dogs, they're short a case of cups, they're short a case of lids. Who pays for it? Yeah, the theater manager. The company pays for it because they signed for it. So I tell everyone, we talked about this earlier about assigning responsibility. It doesn't matter who counts it, the manager is still responsible. Production and distribution. We talked in terms of what supervisors and support teams do, okay, in getting food ready for particular events. So how many hot dogs should you cook before the football game starts? You got a concession
As many as
stand.
the projected, well,
Go ahead, that's right.
the projected sales of hot dogs.
You might look at historical data and say, every Saturday, it's a sellout, and we sell 150 hot dogs. Would I make 150 hot dogs before the game starts?
No.
I would have them on hand. How many would I make before the game starts?
Maybe 75 or 50.
75 or 50, and then make some more so I'm ready at halftime. How many do I want to make in the fourth quarter?
The rest. I
Well,
guess.
very little, because you may not sell them.
That's exactly right. Very little. In other words, we want to cut back in the fourth quarter because the game's almost over. I mean, I've seen situations where these college games, a school like Alabama could be up 54-3 at halftime. What happens to the people? They leave
Oh, yeah.
because the game's over. Why do I want to stay? I'm going to go back to tailgating or whatever. We had a rule that when I was with Midland Food Services that any of the food that was left over at the end of the day, rather than throw it away, we allowed the employees to eat it. Okay? So, one particular event, I'm walking past a concession stand, there's 2 minutes to go in the game, and there are 50 hot dogs on the roller grill. And I said, what's going on? And he said, Mr. Edder, you have a rule. We never run out of anything, which I did. You can't sell it if you don't have it, right?
And, but then at the restaurant, just so they feed everyone.
That's exactly right. They were making extra hot dogs so that everybody would get a hot dog at the end of the game so it wouldn't be wasted. So, production is very, very important. Distribution is important. So if you have these large facilities that have 50 concession stands and you have a warehouse, you want to be sure that you distribute everything based on what the stand is going to sell and not over. So for example, ice. When we were at Auburn, we'd have somebody bring ice by. And I can't tell you how many times they put 20 bags of ice in one stand, or every stand, and the stands were different sizes and had different volumes. And all that ice would do was melt. It's like liquid money just going right down the drain. Yeah. So, production and distribution, you have control points there as well. How about selling? Where can you lose control selling?
Can you lose control?
We're talking about the cost cycle and how we can maintain control at each one of these checkpoints. We're going to start by predicting and forecasting. You guys already know how to do that. Now we can order because we have a good grasp on predicting. Now we're going to order correctly, right? And then when it gets here, we're going to receive it correctly, and we're going to put candy in the right temperature rooms, and we're going to keep dry foods in dry areas and frozen foods in the frozen areas. And then we're going to prepare it correctly, right? We got the right amount at every concession stand. What happens with the selling piece? Where could we lose control there?
Either give them like too much popcorn or too much.
Maybe they just give it away for
soda
free.
or-
Oh, you're my friend, I'm just gonna give you this cup of popcorn, or I'm gonna give you this Snickers,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you the ice cream. Right? So you didn't ring it up, right? Okay, but you gave the product away. What about, I really like you, Rachel, but you gotta pay for your drink. So you give me $5, and I don't ring it up. I just politely put it in my pocket.
Mm.
You lose money on sales
Mm.
for theft, right? So what would be some control points? What are control points on the selling side?
Maybe having one person take the money and one person fill in the order or whatever.
That's a good one. That's a very good one. What else? Inventory control. So we count everything before we start. We started with 100 cups, we got 50 left. They're $5 a piece. How much money should be in the register? 5 times 50. $250. Okay? And if it's not $250, I gotta start thinking. What's another control point for selling? Remember I said the more specific we get on the controls, the better we are at sticking to the plan. The plan is to make a lot of money. How specific can we get? How about cameras? We can put cameras in every room, and somebody in security can sit there and watch arbitrarily. And if we have an issue, we can watch one particular person. Are they ringing things up? Are they doing the credit cards? How are they doing this? What else? What's another control point?
I think you've covered it. Are there more?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm running an operation, I'm running a football stadium. The operation is open for 4 hours. And I start with my bank, right? And I start with a change fund of $50. How much money do you think's in there at halftime?
More than
$2,000.
Yeah.
Okay?
more
How much do you think is in the fourth quarter? $4,000.
than-
What happens to employees when they see $4,000?
Indeed.
They're never gonna miss 50 bucks. They will never miss $10 out of 4,000. So how do you control that?
By pulling the drawer.
Pulling the drawers. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. So at the end of the first quarter, everybody makes a drop, and you get them back to $50. At halftime, you make a pull, and you got $50. And so you reduce your risk or some incentive for someone to be silly and make a mistake. Same thing happens in movie theaters. In our theaters, after every set, we pull every drawer, we count it down, and we know if you're over or short within 15 minutes. That's the nice thing about technology. It's helped us. So we can get a full count of whatever you sold and if you balance. And if you're off, I know before you go home. So, controls for selling. Recording. What is recording?
Maybe recording how much is in each drawer, or recording how much.
Well, we're going to
is
record
sold.
over short. So, for example, Sharon, every day she's $5 short. There's some consistency. We were writing down over shorts. Kind of strange. You would think that maybe she'd be over $5, short $4, over $2. Every day she's short $5. That should be a signal, okay? The other part about recording, we're going to write down our inventory counts, what we start with, and we're going to write down what we end with. And to your point, you always have one person count the cash,
Mhm.
okay? You have somebody else count the inventory.
Mhm.
If I'm counting cash and inventory, what can I do on the recording side?
Makes it
Fudge
a
the
number.
numbers.
I can fudge the numbers to make it look exactly like what the deposit is. Yeah, we had a person that was doing that, one of our locations. I'm sure it happens all over the place. But when you only have one manager, no assistant managers, nobody else, they're gonna receive the cash, right? And then if they want to change the numbers a little bit, the fit, let's just say we did $1,000 worth of business, and I need $100 to pay my car note. So I'm going to change the number so it looks like it's $900. I'm going to deposit $900. So the recording says 900, deposit says 900, nobody suspects anything, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So you have to have controls on the recording side. And then finally, analyzing. This really is the evaluation point where I said you set the standard and you go from there to where?
You measure
You measure the difference.
the performance.
And then it all starts all over again. So for example, I predicted we were gonna sell 10,000 souvenir cups, right? And then all of a sudden it got really cold, or it rained, people didn't come. And so I only sold 5,000 cups, souvenir cups. When I get down to the analyzation part, I gotta figure out why I predicted 10,000, I only sold 5,000. What's the answer?
The weather.
Weather. Do I control the weather? No. What I might do though is find a souvenir cup that I can use week after week after week. That's another piece too. When ordering, let me tell you this. You have standard generic cups, paper cups. You can go to Kroger, Sam's, and buy styrofoam cups, right?
Mhm.
Why would I not use styrofoam cups or standardized cups? Just things you can buy at Kroger's.
Because you want your brand
Yeah.
on that cup.
That's one thing, but that's not a control item. How do I control the inventory on, say, cups, sellable items?
You could,
Right.
If I'm using Malco cups, can you go to Sam's and buy Malco cups?
No.
Yeah, so there have been instances where you guys, not you in particular, but employees have figured out the system. They worked for a long time. They know we're counting cups. They have to go to Walmart or Kmart or Kroger's, whatever. And they happen to see the exact same Sweetheart cup in Kroger's. And they know that each one of those cups is worth $5. So they just buy a sleeve of cups. And you bring it to work with you. And you put those in inventory. So I thought I started with 100, but you brought in 50, so I started with 150. Sold 50, right? So that's why you want to have itemized or logoed cups, because they can't go buy them anywhere else. We've had people on the candy side. You know, there was a time when you could buy Snickers candy bars and a variety, Milky Ways and all those candy bars in the candy case at a movie theater, right? And you could also buy them where? In the grocery store.
Anyway.
We literally had people that would bring their purse and they'd have like 5 Snicker bars in there. And they would put them in inventory, sell those at, you know, $2 a piece or $3 and put that money in their pocket. And we would be none the wiser because we recorded it correctly, right? We evaluated it correctly. We just didn't know people were bringing inventory. So,
is that like okay?
what do you mean, okay?
Like if your employees were doing that?
You get fired, that's stealing.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna, that doesn't sound,
That's like a bartender bringing his own bottle of vodka in and pouring vodka tonic and collecting the money, and the owner of the bar never knows that his inventory's off because he still has vodka,
yeah.
Mm.
right? Again, the term I use is silent partners.
So how do you combat that?
So how do you combat that? I just told you. How do you combat that?
I mean, like first
You
fix
find
when you
something
walk in?
specific. So we have specific kinds of candy. That's why they came up with the theater box.
Oh.
Originally, it came up with the theater box,
Yeah.
and then the channel of business wasn't strong enough, so they started selling that box at Walgreens. So we switch.
Yeah.
We go to peg bags or something else. You know, buying peg bags of candy at Kroger's is gonna cost you somewhere around $3 a bag. Okay? And if we're charging $4.50 for it, there's not a lot of profit involved for the risk and the trouble of carrying it and all that stuff. So it reduces the impact. But the key is, you gotta go back at the bottom and you have to analyze. If you don't analyze, okay, if you don't find out if all of these things are right, then you just wasted your time. You did all that work. Remember, you did the recipe cards to figure out theoretical cost. You got the right amount of people working. You predicted correctly. You've inventoried it correctly. You've done all this stuff, but if you don't go back and ask yourself, are there any variances, you haven't done very well. Any questions? I think I'm going to switch to this. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what I think you're going to be asked to do in the real world. So let's say that we want to control our cost. We want to find out what we're going to do. We're going to have one event. What's the first thing we need to know?
Attendance.
How many people are coming?
And the per crowd.
20,000 per cap, so then that's gonna be
80.
80,000.
We're going to have $80,000 at this event. Okay, so we know that now. Now, here's the menu information. So you're going to have hot dogs at 6 to 1, right? And you're going to have giant hot dogs 4 to 1. and you're gonna have sausage 5-to-1. Here's the product cost on this hot dog. How do we know that? How do we know that's the product cost?
From the,
That's
cost
perfect
of
cost.
goods, or wait, no.
Isn't that the perfect
I know
cost?
this, I know this. Case, the event planning cost.
Right, so you're gonna figure out what does the hot dog cost, what does the bun cost, you're gonna create your recipe. In this particular case, I'm gonna save you the trouble, I'm gonna tell you it's 28 cents. Now, how much are we selling a hot dog for?
$3.
What's the key here?
Net.
Net.
Net selling price, so the tax is already taken out. Okay. So can anybody tell me what the food cost is on that hot dog? What is the food cost as a percentage? So I asked the question and then I had to correct it. What is the food cost of that hot dog?
28.
28. Then I clarified and I said, what's the percentage? What's the percentage? How do you do it?
You're gonna do
You got it,
you're gonna do the product cost
right?
divided by the selling price.
Correct.
And then
In other words, think of this as the pie, okay? And this is the portion of the pie, okay? It's a ratio. So what's 20.28 divided by $3?
9.3%.
9.3%. So that would be the percentage cost for that. Let's do the giant hot dog. They're 50 cents. What's the percentage cost?
12.5%.
How much?
12.5.
12.5%. Okay, do I want to sell more of these or more of those?
More of the regulars.
More of the regulars, okay? Now, remember, you've already forgot what I told you last week. So let's do gross margin. How much money do we actually make off the regular hot dog?
$2.72.
$2.72. How much do I make off the other hot dog, the giant hot dog?
$3.50.
This percentage cost is 9.3%. This percentage cost is 12%. Which one do I want to sell the most of?
Giant.
Why?
Because you make a higher profit.
I'm putting $3.50 in the bank. So don't get lost here. We do this as efficiency, okay? So that was kind of a trick question to see if you guys pick up on it. We always want to take dollars to the bank. So in this case, yes, we'll take the higher percentage cost because we're making more profit. Does that make sense? Okay. Sausage, let's do sausage. 55 cents versus 3.50.
$15.7%.
Okay. 15.7%. So on your exam next week, you're going to be given a chart like this, okay? And then you're going to have to figure out all of these because then there are going to be a set of questions that ask you, what is the food cost for this? Or what is the food cost for that? You think you can do it?
Maybe.
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 So this is next week. This right here, what you just did,
Uh-huh.
is, because I have something written down from last class where we did popcorn and pizza.
Yep.
And then, so like 272, that's your margin.
Yep, that's right. That's your
And
gross
so
margin.
that's what your actual profit is on that specific hot dog.
That's exactly right.
And then the percentages are the product.
No, so let's just look at two different items here, okay? What happens too many times in the industry is everybody wants to run the lowest food cost. So they're gonna drive 9.3 because it's lower than 12, right? Okay? But how do you pay your bills?
And money.
And money. So wouldn't I rather take $3.50 to the bank as opposed to 272? So what I'm doing is I'm cautioning you. Having the lowest percentage cost is not always good. We want to make as much money as possible. Sometimes I might run, let's say, have you seen the souvenir popcorn tubs that we sell in Malco?
Maybe.
They're very expensive, okay? They're like $2 a piece as opposed to a quarter for a paper tub. And we sell them for $5. How much money do I make off that tub?
Repeat that one more time.
$3.
$3, that's right. Cost $2, I sell it for $5. I make $3. What's the percentage cost? Like 40% cost? 45, something like that?
Yeah.
Way out of line versus popcorn at 8%. Okay? But that's an add-on. So I'm gonna sell the popcorn already. Now if I can make an extra $3, even though it's a 50% cost, I'm making an extra $3 for the company. Multiply that times 10,000. I made $30,000 in one weekend just selling a souvenir tub. Make sense? So even though the percentages are important, remember how much money you make is more important. Let me see if I can do some more of this. It's not moving. Uh-oh. Now maybe it'll move. I want to drag it down, I can't. Uh-oh.
Just open it, printer, it will go. Just open that one. Will you bring it here?
I'm trying. It won't move.
Just.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Do that. Go back down, get on the line. Stretch it. There we go. Now we can grab it. There we go. I can't see that, can I? Okay, 20, 35, 20. I'll remember that. How do I get back over here? Look at that dual page. Here we go. All right. Okay, here's a sample. Let's assume that on the exam, we're going to use the same numbers we've been practicing with on the screen. We got 20,000 people coming at $4 each. What are our total sales?
80,000.
80,000. Thank you. Now, to predict and order properly, we need to know a few things. So we got $80,000 in sales. We know that 20% of the sales are going to come from hot dogs. Right? So what's that number? What's 20% of 80,000? 20% of 80,000.
16,000.
That's what I thought, 16,000. How did you get that?
20% times 80,000.
That's right. So, the total category of hot dogs is 16,000. Now, we're going to kind of do what we did last week, in your last exam. Question on the exam might look like this. Hot dog and sausage sales has a mixed category, looks like this. The regular hot dog is 70% of sales. Giant hot dogs is 20%. Sausages are 10. So, what am I going to do here? I'm going to put hot dog equals what percent? 70 times what? 16. What's that number?
11,200.
11,200. Okay, and then the giant dog is 20%? should be 4,000? 1,600, what is it?
3,200.
3,000? 3,200?
Yes.
Okay, and then the sausage is 10%, and that's $800? Quite frankly, if I want to check this,
Yeah, I think so.
I should be able to go back and add these up. Something's not right, because that should equal 16,000.
It's 1,600.
1,600 now. And so that's 16,000, so that's correct. So what is the perfect food cost in this particular case? Because we're selling things at different prices. You want to know how to figure this out? Okay. If I'm selling this hot dog, you remember on the previous page, what did we sell the hot dog for? Did we sell it for $3? So we're going to divide by $3, and that's going to tell us the number of hot dogs. We'll leave the 16,000 up here. So how many is that?
3,730.
3,730.
3.
Okay. And what is the price?
$3.
$3, okay. And what is the cost? Be 28 cents, right? So we take 3,733 times 0.28, and that's going to tell you how much we're going to need in dollars to buy those hot dogs.
$1,045.
$1,045. Okay, guys, walk me through the next piece. What do we do here?
So
We're going to divide by the selling price. The selling price was $4. So how many of those do we need?
800.
How many?
800.
800. And what was the price of that hot dog? Do you remember? It was 50 cents.
400.
I need $400 for that. Let's do this one. Tell me what I'm going to divide this by. It was 350.
457.
457. And do you remember the price? It was 55 cents.
251.
251. Now, how do I figure out the exact percentage? We're going to take the cost divided by total sales. So what's the total cost? 5 plus 1 is 6. 4 plus 5 is 9. 4 plus 2 is 6. Drop the 1. So our total cost is $1,696. Would you agree?
Yes.
What is total sales?
16,000.
We're going to divide that by 16,000.
10%.
Is it 10% or 10.1%?
10.6%.
10.6%.
Yes.
So on your exam, you're going to want to be sure that you look at the decimal points, because I think it goes out to at least 2.
Okay.
Okay? So what you just did is exactly what I showed you the chart we were evaluating earlier. Okay? This is kind of microscopic, but if we went back to, say,
Isn't this
Libel.
what we just did on the last test?
sort of, kind of,
Okay.
sort of, kind of, so it's going to be a little more challenging. But you can do the same thing with sodas. Let's assume that sodas were 50% of sales. Okay? What's 50% of 80,000? $40,000. Okay? And then I might have 3 different sizes. Okay? So let's just say I've got a 16 ounce, a 24 ounce, and a 32 ounce. And then in this particular category, these percentages would be a little bit different maybe. Maybe 16 ounces 30%, and 24 is 50%, and 32 is 20%. So let's do the math. See if you can do this one more time with sodas. I feel better when you guys walk me through it. That way it tells me that you understand. Okay, so what's the next step here?
You're gonna, multiply those by
40,000. So what's 40,000 times 0.3?
12,000.
Thank you. And what's 50? 20,000. And 20%? 8,000. Okay, that equals 40. Now what do I have to do?
You divide it by,
The selling price. Good. So the selling price on a 16 ounce is $3. And what does that tell me?
4,000.
you need 4,000,
Even. That's 4,000 units. And each unit, the cost per unit, is going to be 32 cents. So what's my total cost for just for 16 ounce drinks? 4,000 times 0.32.
1280,
1,000.
280.
Okay. Okay, this one right here is $4. How many do I need? 5,000. And basically it's 44 cents a unit.
2,200.
$2,200. Okay, this is the cost, total cost per item. All right, now we're down to the 32 ounce, and they're $5. How many of those do I need?
1,600.
1,600. And they're 58 cents a piece. That's the cost.
928.
928. All right, you got that. What's the next thing I do?
You add those to make sure, well,
No, I'm going to add these to get total cost for the category. So what is that number? It's going to be 8, 0, carry the 1, 4, carry the 1. I got $4,408. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Now what do I do? If the question on the test is what's the perfect cost?
You're gonna divide it by the sales,
Right, and the sales are?
40,000.
Right. I'm going to divide by 40,000.
11.02%.
11.02%. Very good. Excellent. Now let's just do this for fun, okay? If I said, what is the food cost for the 16 ounce beverage, what would you do? What is the food cost for the 16 ounce beverage?
You're gonna go back and you're gonna,
There's two ways to do it. If on your paper you've written it out like this, there's a pretty easy way. But there are basically two ways. I want to see if you can figure this out. Do you know what we're doing here? All I want to know is the food cost on a 16 ounce beverage.
one single,
One single drink.
would you do,
You would take the single cost divided by the single price. Do that for me.
Ten.
10%?
10.6.
Thank you.
10.
10.6. You're going to see why we're doing this in a second. What is the cost on this one? The single cost. It's 44 divided by $4.
11%.
11%. Even?
Yes.
Okay. Can't be. Yes, it can. I'm sorry. I see now. Yes, it can. And then let's do the last one. You're going to take 0.58,
11.6.
11.6. You guys paying attention? Some people would do this. They would add 10.6 plus 11 plus 11.6. Let's do that. That's 32, 33, 2. Is that correct? And then they would divide by 3 because they're going to get the average. And that would be 11, it'd actually be 10.9 or something. What is that? Can you do that for me, Kevin? 33.2 divided by 3.
11.06.
11.06. Are these two numbers the same?
No.
No. That's why you have to do it this way. Okay? You took just a raw average, okay? But that's not going to be the answer. Let's see if I can do some labor questions. Okay, where's my cursor? There it is. Hello. There we go. Finally. Let's see if, uh-oh. Let's see if we can do this question. Just minimize. If you minimize, it'll be right. Just need to drag it this way some. A little bit more, a little bit more. Okay, very good. Okay, up on the screen we've got another scenario. Let's see if you can figure out perfect cost. Theoretical cost. Up here, we have a 61 hot dog. They cost $1.70 a pound. We have buns. They're 90 cents per dozen. We have wrap. That's 4 cents a piece. We've got condiments. We're going to allot 8 cents. And we're going to sell it for $3. Now, keep in mind it's a net selling price. What is the cost per serving? How are we going to do that?
You do.
Well, we're going to create a hot dog, right? So how much does the hot dog cost? $1.70 per pound. How many per pound? 6. So what are we going to do?
Divided by 6.
$1.70 divided by 6 tells us individual hot dog price.
28 cents.
28 cents. Good. Now we're looking at buns. They're 90 cents per dozen. What do we do?
So 12 divided by.
No, 90 divided by 12. No, 12. Yeah, 90 divided by 12.
7.5.
7.5. Bun. See, we only need one hot dog. We only need one bun. How many wrappers do we need per hot dog?
1.
So we're going to put 4 cents for the wrap.
4 cents.
What else do we need? Condiments? We're gonna lot 8 cents, correct?
Yes.
Can you explain how you got 0.75 again for the bun? Did you do 0.9 divided by 2?
Divided by 12. See, a dozen is
Oh,
12.
because you get 6 buns in a pack.
No. Let's walk. You get 6 hot dogs per pack. So we're gonna take $1.70 divided by 6, and that tells us 28 cents. Buns are 90 cents per dozen. A dozen is 12, so you're gonna take 90 cents and divide it by 12. Got it? Now I could make it really challenging and tell you that the wrap, right here, there are 100 in a package, and they're $4 for each package. So you would take $4 divided by 100 and you get 4 cents. But I'm making it easy for you. I'm just saying 4 cents. And the condiments, we're just allotting 8 cents. So what is the actual cost of this hot dog?
47 cents.
0.47 cents. So you just answered this question. What is the cost per serving? Now the next question is, what's the theoretical cost as a percentage? How would we figure that out? What's the theoretical cost per serving?
That's what you're gonna do.
Oh, that actual cost divided by the selling price?
That's exactly right. And the selling price is?
$3. So it's 15 point, well, yeah, it's like 16 cents.
Give me the exact decimals. It's
0.158.
0.158.
3.
So it's 15.8 cents.
Yeah.
15.8%. Excuse me.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of evaluating an individual item and what the cost would be. Let's look at the next question. Question number 5. Sales and cost mix. 35% of the sales, okay, are at 26%. So in other words, we're going to break this down into 3 different categories. We're going to have some food at 26%, we're going to have some food at 12%, and we're going to have some food at 16%. The question is, what should you expect your overall food cost to be? How do we figure that? Walk me through it. What's the first thing we're going to need to know?
I need to write all of this down first before I can tell you
Okay.
everything. Because I'm trying
The
to
total sales,
Yeah, total sales, and they are?
80,000.
Right.
keep that up.
So 35% of 80,000.
So 35% of 80,000. That's good. So what is that number?
28,000.
Oop. Sorry, guys. It's supposed to be a percent. So 80, okay, equals what?
28,000.
28,000. Okay, and then what's the next one? 30%
Sales.
times 80K equals
24,000.
24,000. Very good. And then what's the last one? 35%?
Yes. So 28.
Should be 28. So now we've broken our sales down and we've weighted it. It now has a certain volume. Now, what are we going to do? How do we figure out what the food cost is on the 35% sales?
It told us.
Pardon me?
It told us.
Yeah, they told you. What did they tell you? 26%.
Mm-hmm.
So if the food cost is 26% on $28,000, it will tell us total cost per category.
7,280.
7,280.
Yes.
And then what's the next one?
12%.
12%. And what is that?
Uh,
What's 12% of 24,000?
5,280.
5,280,
280.
okay? And then 28% times,
16,000 is 4,480.
4,480.
Yes.
Kevin, you got this down?
Right now,
Yeah.
we'll see with the test.
Okay, so you got it. So what's the next step?
What is the expected average cost of sales percentage? So you would do,
Sharon, can you help him?
And or the cost per,
We're gonna add up all the cost.
mhm.
So we have 0 here, and that should be 4 with a 2, that's 2, 4, 6, 0, carry the 1, that's 12, 13. I hope it's $17,040, is that correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
Now what do I do? How do I find the perfect cost? The expected perfect cost? Based on this weighted average. Some foods are at 26%, some are at 12, some are at 16. Sharon, what do we do next?
use this, or the.
If this is the total cost, what do we need?
Divided by the total sales,
Right, divided by total sales. And what are the total sales?
80,000.
What should the answer be?
21.3%.
21.3%. You get this, Rachel?
I'm trying.
Okay.
Not a mathy person.
So 21.3% under this scenario. Just so you understand, and I re-emphasize it, let's take 26% and 12% and 16%, add those three together. 12, 14, 54. 54 divided by 3 is what? What's 54 divided by 3?
18.
How much?
18.
18. See, you can't take these three things, add them together, all right, and then divide by 3. You want to extend it, get the total cost divided by total sales, and that's 21.3%. Good. That's a good question. Let's see if there's some other questions in here. Oops. Gotta pull it back over there.
It would be so helpful if you would like print this stuff out for us to follow along with. Yeah.
What I might do is I might send you the recording. That way, if you want to watch the class again, you can speed it up. When you get something.
Because I'm such a visual learner, like I
Yeah.
would love to have this on a worksheet and be able to like work it out.
Well, you're gonna get one. Called the exam.
A lot of times when I go and look at the videos, like, cause I'll go and look at the videos like when we were preparing for the last test.
Right.
But sometimes there's a big old glare on the board and I can't see half of what's on
Right.
there and that's a problem.
Yes.
So even though like the whole class is there, I can't see the information.
Yeah.
The blue marker definitely helps. I remember
Yeah.
one day I used the green and I was like, I can't even see anything
That's
on
correct.
here.
That's correct. And so I'm trying. You see, I'm trying. I realize.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
even-
yeah.
So when I'm standing here, red, green, or blue, I can see it pretty clearly. But if I go back over there behind Kevin, I realize that this light right here is a
Yeah.
glare and you can't see it. So that's why I
Yeah.
switched to blue.
Right on that like last 28,000, there's a nice ball of glare.
Right here?
The last one.
Oh,
on
that
the-
here?
Yeah,
Okay.
right there.
So if I stand here, does that get rid of the glare?
Now you gotta scoot back a little bit.
Is that better?
A little bit more.
Just bringing it
Yeah,
back
right
to the
there,
sheets
right there. There
that
we
she
go.
was saying. The sheets would be helpful.
Yeah, it would be so
Yeah.
helpful, just for the
Yeah.
future.
Okay. Let's try to figure out what the projected labor cost is going to be.
I'm literally struggling keeping up because I'm having to like.
So this is nothing more than an Excel spreadsheet. At this particular event, we're going to have 2 supervisors, okay? And they make $8 each. And they're going to Oh, excuse me, they got 8 hours. So we're gonna take 2 times 8 equals 16 times their hourly rate, which is 8. How much is that?
128.
Okay, we would put 128 right here. So I guess I should probably try to do that since you guys don't have. Do you see where we're going with this? The path? So the first one's gonna be $128. Now we're gonna take 60 stand workers. They're gonna work 6 hours each. What is that, 360? And we're gonna multiply 360 times $8 per hour they make.
2,880.
2,080,
880.
okay? That's stand workers. Now we're gonna take our vendors. Okay, we got 20 vendors. They're gonna work 6 hours each. That tells me 120 hours, and we're gonna pay them $4 an hour.
480.
480. Then we got vending room workers. We have 10. They're gonna work 6 hours each. That's 60 hours. And we're gonna pay them $775. And how much?
Will be 465.
465. Now, I'm writing it on this side of the board because I don't want to write on the screen. But if I was you, on the exam, I would write those numbers right here. Okay? All right. Then we got a stand managers because we got 10 concession stands. Okay.
Will be
That's 80 times 9,
720.
$720. Then we got vending room managers. We got 2 times 8, 16 times 9.
It will be 144.
Okay. And then we got 2 cashiers, for people working in the cash room. 2 times 6, which is 12, times 775.
93.
93. And now we got 1 office worker working 8 hours at $8.50. So it's 8 hours times $8.50.
68.
68 even?
Mhm.
What do I do next?
Add them all up.
Do it.
$4,978.
4,978. So the question here is, how much are the total projected payroll dollars?
Is that including the 12% payroll cost?
That's a good question.
No, it's not,
No.
so you multiply it by the 10%.
Yeah.
That's right. So you're gonna multiply that times 12% and add it to it.
Which is $597.36.
597,
Yes.
okay? Add those together.
Do we include the 36 cents again?
Yes. Yes, you do. I think there's a question like that on there.
5,575.36.
So it's 5,575
Yes.
and 36 cents.
Yes.
What does that number represent?
The total projected payroll dollar.
Total payroll dollars. Now, what if the question was, what do you expect the payroll percentage to be for this event? How would you figure that? What do you have, what do you think the percentage of payroll labor is going to be? Sharon knows.
Yes, or the payroll cost.
We're gonna take that and we're gonna divide it by
Sales,
total
total
sales.
sales.
80,000. What is that number?
6.9%.
6.9%.
Yeah.
Good for you. Is that good or bad?
Depends on your standards.
Depends on your standard, thank you. It only took us a year to get there, but we're almost there.
Almost.
Yeah. So if our standard was 10%, is that good or bad?
Bad.
What?
Good,
Why do you say good?
because standard is 10%, but it's lower than 10%.
That's right, so we're under our budget, that's very good.
But you may not be giving as good a service.
Oh, so now you're gonna get real complicated. That's good. So let's do that. So if we had, how many people were coming? 20,000 people?
Yes.
And we said we need how many points of sale? What do you want to say? How many points of sale? What's the ratio? Remember, we had 175, 150, 200. Give me a number, Kevin. What do you want to do?
175.
175. Okay, so we're going to have one POS per 175. What's that number?
114.
114. Let's add up the numbers here. We have 2 plus 60 plus 20. That looks like 82 to me. 92. 102. 104. 106. 107 people. Is that correct? Did I do that right? And how many is this calling for?
114.
Yeah. So to your point, maybe the service isn't quite as good.
Well, if you're doing 1.5 people per POS.
Yeah. Yeah, so what is that number? This is the POS we need. We're gonna multiply this times 1.5.
171.
171,
Yes.
and we have 107 people working? Looks like we're short-staffed.
Yeah.
Okay? But that's not really where we're going with this, but I really appreciate you figuring this out, because this is how you go back and evaluate. But this is just kind of a case scenario. So on the exam, you're going to have something very similar to this. It's going to give you a list of employees and positions, how many are working in that position, how many hours they work in that position, and then their hourly rate. Okay? And then you're going to have to do this kind of a calculation, and you'll come up with a number, and then I don't know what the questions will be after that. Okay, let's take a break, but let's make it a short one. So let's take 5 minutes, come